Today's topic is equations and inequalities. Excuse my handwriting, it's not the prettiest. I know. So the first thing that we have to discuss will be the rearranging method. Rearranging method. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let me give you x plus 5 minus 1 is equal to 6. Yeah. So in this example, you'll be arranging all the variables on your left hand side, since this is your left hand side. If you can pay attention, this is your left hand side, and all your constants on your right hand side. That's your left hand side. So from here, therefore, we'll say that x is equal to, then we'll be taking every constant to the other side, like every single constant, like 1 to this side, 5 also to this other side. So this is what we are going to see. So now we're going to, on our right hand side, we're going to have 6 minus, you have to remember that when a number crosses the equal sign, it changes the sign to the opposite of its sign. So if it was positive, it's going to be negative. So if it's negative, it's going to be positive. So you got to remember. Then from there, we're going to have negative 5, which is minus 5 plus 1. So now our x will give us, and this is not, this doesn't look like an x. Our x will be equal to, separate, then have to, okay, 6 minus 5 plus 1, it will give us 2. Yeah. So this is what we had to discuss, or that you had to get familiar with the rearranging method. And remember, the most important thing is that you have to keep in mind always when you're dealing with this. So let me write NB. So remember that division, when you're doing with equations and inequality, divisions by 0 is undefined. So this means that if you are given x divided by 1, it's equal to 0, then this just means that x is equal to 0 and y it's not equal to 0, because a division by what? A division by 0 is undefined. So that's what you have to get familiar with, and that's what you have to remember each and every single time when you're dealing with equations or even inequalities. Now let's get to the second one, or the second business of the day, which will be solving linear equations. So let's clear our board or our space properly. Let me clear the space. So we have lots of space to work on. you. Thank you. I didn't want to use the eraser because like it's slow and it's small, so yeah. I hope you understand. So the next topic we'll be doing will be solving linear equations. So let's see. I think I already had the word solving. Oh, okay. It's not so. Solving linear equations. Solving linear equations. So the thing that you have to remember is that what are linear equations? So you have to know that linear equations are equations where the power of the variable is 1. The power of the variable is 1, and our variable in this case is x. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is an example. X, 2x, plus 2 is equal to 1. You can check the power of everything is equal to 1, or of our variable, so to say. So something that you have to keep in mind when you're dealing with these equations is that another point is that what the value of the variable, the value that you get when you're solving these equations, if you subtract it back to the equation, it's supposed to give you what's on the other side. So let's continue solving this equation. So we'll have something like let's see, since you have to remember the rearranging method. So now we'll be having 2x. You take 2 to the other side, so it will be negative, so it will be minus 2. So if you check, it will be minus 1. On this other side, we'll be having 2. So now, if you remember clearly, we have to divide by 2 on both sides, since what you do on the other side, you have to do it also on the other side. So let me show you using my a different color. So I'll say 2, and you know here you have negative 1. So you divide by 2. You don't really need to show division by 2, but then yeah, if you don't want to get confused, you can just do that. Then what you're going to have will be this. So what I was saying is that to show that your answer that you got is true, if you want to prove yourself that is true, if ever you get a question, or also if you get a question which will be asking you if the value, prove that the value that you have is true, then this is how you are going to do it from the equations, from the equation above, right? Because the variable makes both sides of the equation true. So if you subtract it both in the equation, so let's see, you're going to subtract negative 1 over 2 back on our left hand side. So we'll be saying our left hand side, rather it's equal to, instead of doing the dots, 2x plus 2, which should be equal to negative 1 over 2 plus 2, which will be equal to 1 plus 2, negative 1 plus 2, which will be equal to 1. And remember that our right hand side is equal to 1. So what we are proving was true. So now, for now, let's just look at a more probably complicated question related to equations and inequalities. Probably this space. Okay, let me not delete the equations and also this one, so that we remember what we're dealing with here, equations and inequality. So right now I'm just trying to do a more complex example of the equations and inequality. So let's solve this one. It will be 4 open bracket 2x minus 9 minus 4x, it's equals to 4 minus 6x. So the first thing that you do is to get rid of the brackets. So now you have to multiply the 4 with everything which is inside, 4 everything which is inside. So this is what you're going to get. You're going to get 8x minus 36 minus 4x is equal to 4 minus 6x. Now you put everything, like all the variables on your left hand side and all your constant on the right hand side. This is what you're going to get. It's 8x minus 4x minus 6 which will be equal to 4 plus 36. Remember, when you move to the other side, it changes the sign, becomes positive. So yeah, oh yeah, sorry, here it is negative, so it will be positive. You have to keep that in mind so that you don't make the same mistake. Then from here, what we do, we add, will be 8, 6, you'll be having 4, and you'll be having 10x is equal to 40. Then you divide both sides by 10, like we did on the other side, since you have to divide this, so that you have only x remaining on your side. So right now you'll be having equals to 4. Yeah, I just decided to do this example because it's like more complex or different from the ones that we got, and it's a bit longer though. And you probably, if you get this one in your exam or your test, then you'll probably be getting more marks for this one. So yeah, thanks for watching this episode of Ninja of Numbers. Stay tuned for the next one, which will be coming up about solving the quadratic equations. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.